Hello everyone, this is Caleb Simpson, and you're watching my 100% walkthrough for The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword for Nintendo Wii. So I hope you like Beetles, because that's all this video is about. Now if you want to continue on with main storyline stuff, skip ahead to the next video. Otherwise, you can hang out with me where we will do Beetle side quest, which leads to 2 pieces of heart. So, we're going to get his gratitude crystals and stuff. Now that we have defeated Bilosite, or Levias, however you want to phrase that, here in Thunderhead, we now have a couple new things that we can do. And one of those things is we now finally have access to Bug Island, which is the island in the far top left corner of Thunderhead. You could have actually gone to this island before, but there wasn't anything we could have done here. But now that we have defeated them, there's a couple things we can do here. So, hop down onto this upper platform, and you can go over to this far side. It looks kind of like a castle outcropping thing over here. You can hop down. You can just jump down, but I think it's a lot easier to go close to the edge. Press A to spin around, and then drop instead, so you don't jump into the sky instead. But land on this little platform, and there is a goddess chest containing a piece of heart. Now, the related goddess cube for this particular chest was in Volcano Summit. It was in that area, like, that little side area where you go to get water, and there's fairies and stuff, so that you can, like, dump your bottles on the frogs. So that little side area, there was, like, some pillars in the distance, and you could jump down, and there's a goddess chest there. So that's where this one came from. So claw shot to the nearby vines and climb up to speak with Stritch. Now, this guy is a bug fanatic, and he loves collecting bugs, he loves everything to do with bugs, and you could have spoken with him in his room in Skyloft at night, or at the Lumpy Pumpkin during the day. But now that Bug Island is finally open and Bilosite is no longer causing havoc in here, it's safe to come to Thunderhead. So now Stritch has discovered Bug Island, he's super excited, and he now has a minigame for us, where he'll give us a list of bugs, and we have to collect them on Bug Island within a time limit. And just for future reference, if you ever need to collect bugs for potions or whatever, this is the place to go, like, for sure. And in fact, like, playing the game with Stritch, you'll get to keep all the bugs that you collect. It doesn't get rid of them or anything. And the reason that's cool is because you can pay just a little bit of rupees to make all of the bugs on the island refresh. So rather than, like, leaving Bug Island and, like, going to, say, the Isle of Songs and then coming back to Bug Island just to make those bugs reappear, you can totally just speak with Stritch and play his minigame over and over again. So it's like you're spending rupees, but kind of towards the end of the game you have as many rupees as you want, so it's not really a big deal. Anyways, you can totally play Stritch's game if you like to practice. Now, I'm not really too worried about that. We do need to do it for an upcoming side quest. So I'm going to do it during the side quest that we're about to start. But if you want to practice with Stritch, now is the time to do it. So I'm just going to skip over that. I'm going to do it later in the video. You can stay tuned until later in the video when I do that, and I'm going to explain it in great detail. But yeah, if you want to practice it, do it now. Now, in passing, as long as we're leaving Thunderhead, there is a small island there that has a gossip stone. We could have technically gotten it earlier, but I just was waiting until now because it was convenient, because we were going to Bug Island anyways. I try not to, like, go super far out of my way. I just kind of get things when they're convenient. So if you've been following along with me, then Beedle should only have one item for sale left in his shop, which is a piece of heart that is worth a whopping 1,600 rupees. Now that's pretty expensive, and you might have that much rupees right now, especially if you did not purchase, like, the bug medal like I did earlier. That's kind of optional, so if you had skipped that, then maybe you have enough rupees right now anyways, and that's fine. If that's the last thing you're planning on purchasing in general, then that's great. Like, then you don't have anything else to spend rupees on for the rest of the game, basically. But anyways, something you can do real quick is you can actually go ahead and purchase this if you want. However, if you wait and do it after completing Beedle's side quest, you can then get your next item that you purchased from Beedle for half off. So we can buy this for 800 rupees instead, which is awesome. Now, next thing I wanted to point out is the fact that Beedle has a chat bubble above his head, and that is to indicate that he has a side quest available to us. Now, it's totally optional to speak to him. You don't actually have to do that. You can just skip ahead to the next event. However, something I do want to point out that's very important is that Beedle will only have this side quest available if you speak with Stritch on Bug Island first. You have to go do that. That is required. So it's kind of weird that, like, you don't actually have to talk with Beedle at all. But anyways, so if you speak with Stritch, come over here. You can optionally talk with Beedle if you want to. What he says is that he has something that's bothering him, but he doesn't want to talk about it during the day. So sleep in his bed until night, and he'll take you to Beedle's Island. So as long as we're here on Beedle's Island at night, there's two things you can grab real quick. There is an upper alcove that you can hop into where there is a goddess chest. Now, I actually already grabbed this in an earlier video, but if you have unlocked this goddess chest but have not collected the treasure or didn't know how to reach it because you can't quite fly in there during the day very easily, this is how you do it. You just hop in there when you come here at night using Beedle's air shop. Also, on top of the shop itself, there is an individual gratitude crystal on top of one of the propellers, so you can grab that using the Beedle and fly into it to collect that. Again, I already got that in an earlier video as well, but I'm just pointing those out in case you did not grab them earlier, that now is the time to do so. Anyways, hop down and speak with Beedle, who apparently has a different accent when he's here at night. He talks totally different, which is kind of weird. But if you talk with him, he will then reveal to you what is bugging him. Ha 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 ha. Oh! Alright, so to summarize, Beedle is missing his Horned Colossus Beetle, and by the way, as long as you're here, you should use your Beedle to get the gratitude crystal that's on top of his shop. Like, oh, this game, guys! Why do they need so many things that are similarly named, and in quick succession, too? Ugh. This is actually the first game in the series where Beedle had a kind of an emphasis on bugs. Like, he always had a bug-related name, but he never was obsessed with bugs until now. Like, after this game, they started making Beedle, when he is in games, he, like, talks about bugs all the time. And this is the first game they started doing that at all, a little bit. I think it started out as kind of a joke. Maybe people thought it was funny or something, but I don't know. Like in Breath of the Wild, for example, you can sell bugs to him or whatever. Alright, so as far as where to go, though, so we're looking for his Horned Colossus Beetle, and we'll probably need to go speak with another character who probably knows, like, can point us in the right direction or knows a lot about bugs. So who do we know in the game who is knowledgeable about bugs? And the only person who comes to mind is Stritch. Now remember, Stritch is a bug collector. He's obsessed with finding rare bugs. He's a bug hunter. And in fact, now that Thunderhead is open and available, he is spending all of his days hanging out on Bug Island hunting bugs because he's so obsessed. So it's a pretty good chance that he can either point us in the right direction or is in fact the culprit behind the missing Horned Colossus Beetle. I feel like this quest is maybe a little bit more confusing than some of the other ones because we don't have any, like, dowsing options, and there's no, like, other, like, indicators other than just speaking with Stritch at various times throughout the game. If you had spoken with him and actually vaguely recalled some of your dialogue, then it would totally make sense, and you'd know kind of where to go. However, like, the whole Thunderhead, like, Stritch being there is a recent development, so... But again, this side quest only starts after you have spoken with Stritch for the first time on Bug Island. It is a little bit weird, though. They don't actually have a chat bubble above Stritch's head or anything. There's nothing to, like, super indicate that, like, you actually initiated something when you first talk with him, but it is true, though, that you have to talk with him first. Or rather, more specifically, just that's actually the first step of the side quest, and there's nothing to really super, like, draw attention to that and make you realize that's what happened. But anyways, yes. So now that we're back on Bug Island and we've spoken with Beedle, now you can see that now there is a chat bubble above Stritch's head, which means that this is the next part of the side quest. Now, before you speak with him, I would recommend that you calibrate your controller. So slash your sword a bunch until it's all happy, because it'll just be awkward to try and calibrate it in the middle of doing the bug collecting here in a little bit. So apparently Stritch is, like, a little upset once he discovers that apparently this Horned Colossus Beetle actually belongs to Beedle. In fact, he doesn't really like Beedle that much, so he's a little bit, like, sad at the thought, but he doesn't really want to be a jerk either, but... So kind of a happy medium that he settles on is that he's willing to give you the Horned Colossus Beetle if you can score well at his minigame, and for the harder course even. So if you can score well at the Bug Wrangler course, he's willing to give you the Horned Colossus Beetle. So earlier in the video, I mentioned that you could have actually practiced with Stritch ahead of time, and you could have played either his Bug Beginner course for 20 rupees or his Bug Wrangler course for 50 rupees. And the prize for doing so, if you score well, is you'll get a bunch of bugs as reward. He'll give you a stack of bugs, and the amount of bugs as well as the rarity of the bugs depends on which course you did, as well as how quickly you did it. You have a limit of time of 10 minutes, but if you can do it within like 2 minutes or less for the Bug Wrangler course, you get a stack of 5 rare beetles or whatever. He'll pick a bug. Anyways, so that's what he does normally. What he's going to do right now is we're going to play his harder course, the Bug Wrangler course, but he's only going to charge us 10 rupees. So it makes it a lot cheaper. So you could have spent some time practicing here earlier if you wanted to. It would have been significantly more expensive, but you would have gotten bugs as reward. Meanwhile, right now, the only reward is the Horned Colossus Beetle. So that's what we're going to be doing. So kind of a sad story. Just now in the process of making this video, I realized something. I was suspicious. I decided to come back and test this real quick, so I played his game again, like at the end of the game, and I realized that he actually gave me the same bugs he did last time, so then I was surprised and was like, wait a second, is it the same bugs in everybody's game? And sure enough it is. The list of bugs that he gives you is the same for everybody, and I didn't realize that. I thought it was random every time. So what I've been doing is I've been pausing by pressing the home button on the Wiimote, and then looking at my bugs in the top left corner through the like grayed out screen to see which bugs I needed, and then I made a map of the entire thing to be helpful for people online. I made a map so that people could look at the map and decide where they wanted to go, which is still really helpful. That's awesome, but it's just overkill. I wish I had known it was always the same bug. So anyways, so now in the middle of writing this guide, I just realized that, and I just looked up some other videos on YouTube, and now I feel silly. So in the top left corner, you can see these are the bugs we need. Here are the maps that I made years ago for this thing. I was going to make some videos just specifically for Bug Island, but I think it's kind of unnecessary now. So I showed both of the maps on screen. Now I'm going to show each map individually a little bit bigger. This is for people on mobile in particular, so I know it's kind of awkward. You might have to like fast forward and rewind a little bit to see the map all big, but I just wanted to make them as big as possible because a lot of phones are kind of small, honestly. Over the years, like a higher percentage of my viewers and stuff has steadily transitioned into being on phones instead of being on PC or being like on a console on their TV. So I just want to make sure that whenever I display maps for my walkthroughs from now on, I want to make sure I'm displaying them as big as possible so that people can actually tell what's going on. So yeah, like I just said, I think I just determined that the bugs that are on display on my screen right now are going to be the same ones that you see on yours, and you can press the home button on your Wiimote to pause the game, and then through the grayed out screen you can see most of the bugs. One of the buttons kind of covers it up a little bit, but anyways, you can see what your bugs you have. So if your bugs are different, then refer to those maps and decide where you want to go. Otherwise, if it is the same, you can just follow this path I'm about to take right now, and I'm going to take an efficient path that'll get all these bugs, and it'll be awesome. One other comment, if you want to catch ladybugs or like the Sky Stag Beetle straight ahead, for example, then how you do that is you roll into the wall. You can do this by dashing forward and shaking the nunchuck to bonk into it. This will cause those bugs to fall down, and then you can catch them. Now, don't do that with cicadas. Cicadas also cling to walls, but they will fly away if you startle them. One other thing worth mentioning before we begin is you can see off to the right there is a log that needs to be pushed down. Once you push it down the first time, I think that shortcut stays forever after that, so it would probably be smart to push the log down before you ever start this minigame. Now for me, I'm not worried about it because the path I'm taking, it doesn't even matter. I'm not even going to use that log. Alright, so our goal is to complete the Bug Wrangler course within 3 minutes, and if we can do so, then we will get the Horned Colossus Beetle. Alright, I'm going to unpause the game. We're going to go through this real quick. So another quick tip is you can roll through spider webs to not break them. You don't have to slash them at all, and honestly, if you slash your sword near bugs, you could frighten them off anyway, so don't frighten off bugs. We're going to just roll through this spider web instead. You can go through it very quickly, and then just quickly grab the bugs that you need. So behind this pillar, walk up to it real slow, grab the rhino beetle, roll through the spider web, immediately switch to your bug net, and catch the dung beetle that is running around here. Slash jars, you see slash, immediately switch to B, and start swiping away to collect this grasshopper. Roll back through the vines, or through the cobwebs, break through this jar, roll through. And down here, there's some more jars, slash them with your sword, immediately press B before you frighten off this mantis, grab that. Then you can quickly inch your way over to the side. Make sure you don't run too close to this ant, otherwise you'll frighten it. Same thing with these dragonflies. Just walk up to them real slow and grab one. There's also some dragonflies at the very top of the island too, but these ones are convenient because they're all along our same path. Now this cicada, I feel like if I climb up on the right side, I tend to frighten it off, so I like to climb up on the left side. As soon as that animation starts of Link climbing up, hoisting himself up, you stop moving the analog stick. Otherwise you will frighten the cicada away. So what you want to do is climb up on the left side, turn towards it very slowly, press B, walk towards it slowly, grab it. Climb up on the left side, there's a dung beetle, again, walk up to it slowly. Then I like to jump off to this right side because there's a butterfly here. I like to try not to run too close to it, but go ahead and grab this butterfly, and then there's just the grasshopper straight ahead. So this path was very efficient, we got a whole bunch of stuff. Now any of these bugs, if you do get too close and move too suddenly and frighten them away. If you frighten away a bug, they will come back after about, say, 30 seconds or so. So you can just like continue along their path, try and get more bugs, and then return to that location and the bug will have returned. Again, just walk up to it real slowly when that second time if you have to come back to it like that. Otherwise, what you can do is you can always pause by pressing the home button on your Wiimote and then refer to those maps that I showed earlier in the video, and in case there are more bugs of that type that you need. Now, a lot of them, like I think the grasshoppers, for example, I think that's the only two that are on this whole island, so we need both of them, for example. But some of the other ones, there's like 3, or we only need 1 of them, so there's a couple different places you could get them. So you could actually totally go around. Now, like I showed, though, you could go to the top of the island. I honestly think it's not worth it. If you are coming to Bug Island for specific bugs just in general, like you need some Sky Stag Beetles or whatever, speaking of which, that's actually one of the only bugs that I have remaining that I need. One other interesting point worth pointing out is if you're going to play Hero Mode after this, then it is good to collect a bunch of bugs now, because you will probably need a whole bunch of bugs. It would be nice to have them stored up so that when you get to Hero Mode, you can buy a bunch of potions. Like, getting upgraded potions is nice in Skyward Sword, and it's like, it's alright, it's good. But in Hero Mode, it's much more powerful, and it's much more necessary. So I would recommend that you spend a lot of time on Bug Island to collect bugs for that. Anyway, just something you want to keep on your radar. Like, I've been collecting bugs throughout the game so far, so I have a pretty decent amount, and I have more than enough, basically, for all the potions I want to craft, except for a Sky Stag Beetle. I'm missing one, and I realized that in some of the future videos. I'm doing the commentary after I've already recorded all my gameplay. Anyways, so that's the reason I point that out, is because if you're going to be playing Hero Mode after this, then it would be good to have a bunch of bugs caught ahead of time. And it's a lot easier to catch bugs on Bug Island than it is throughout the game in general. So if you spend a little bit of time collecting bugs on Bug Island when it's easy, then it would make Hero Mode a little bit nicer. Alright, so as you saw, I completed that whole minigame in 1 minute and 27 seconds, which is like, we had to do it within 3 minutes, so I easily made it in time, and that path is pretty efficient. So work your way all the way back to Skyloft, and then go back to Beetle's air shop and sleep in his bed until night. This will take us back to Beetle's Island, and from there you can then speak with Beedle and return his Horned Colossus Beetle to him. Alright, so for completing this side quest, we get 5 gratitude crystals. Now, if you've been purchasing stuff from Beedle throughout the game, you should only have a couple items left to purchase in his shop, and the most expensive item is the Piece of Heart, which is worth 1,600. Now, one of the other side benefits of completing this side quest is the next item that you purchase from him will be half off. So, I think it actually doesn't even give you the choice, it's just whichever one you decide to purchase will be half off. So, ideally you want to use it on the most expensive item, which is that Piece of Heart. So instead of 1,600, we can now purchase it for 800, which is awesome. So that's all sweet and all. One thing that's sort of sad is you don't get the choice, I believe. It just is half off whatever item you have next. So if you haven't purchased a lot of stuff from Beedle, you will have to buy something else at half off. Luckily for me, this is the only thing. I planned ahead a little bit, and this is the only item left, which is the most expensive, so thus I saved the most amount of money. I think in some of the other games, Beedle gives you the option of like using coupons. He sends them to you in the mail, and you get to choose whether or not you want to use the coupon to purchase something half off. And it's up to you to decide if you want to do that. And actually, ironically enough, there's reasons not to do that, because you don't get points in your card. But anyways, that's a whole different thing. But I'm just commenting that in that game, you at least have the flexibility of choosing which item you want to get a decent price on. So, fun fact, something cool you can do is you can enter Beedle's shop, and if you don't purchase anything and you try to leave, then Beedle will actually get mad at you because he has to pedal and you're really heavy and stuff like that. So he actually knocks you out of his ship, and it's a pretty funny little scene. Now, I haven't actually shown that so far in the walkthrough because I just am following my notes. My notes say, okay, go here, do this, do that, and I'm just doing stuff down the list, and I just kept forgetting. Like, I'd remember as I'm leaving Beedle shop, and I'd be like, oh, I need to do that. And then I just never did. So I've been doing that the entire walkthrough, and I had big plans of like, okay, like I'm going to get this Piece of Heart, I'm going to show that scene. And I actually went in and out of his shop a couple times, and he didn't do it. So it's kind of funny. Like, after you've purchased everything, he won't show that scene ever. So I'm going to show that scene real quick. I actually went back and recorded. I had to like fire up my game again and go to an earlier point in the game on a different save file just so I could show this. So anyways, so this is a scene that happens if you go to his shop and you don't purchase anything. So that's all relatively humorous. Like I was saying, if you go back to his shop, though, after you've bought everything, he won't actually yell at you anymore, which is kind of weird. So at the end of the game, he won't do that at all, even though, like, you literally can't purchase anything from him. I don't know, it's just weird. I guess maybe it'd be weirder if he yelled at you for not buying anything when he doesn't have anything anyway, so maybe that would be even more strange. I don't understand why he's even flying around at this point. I guess just for the exercise. Anyways, our next objective is to head to Farron now that we've completed all this stuff. And when you get there, something a little interesting that will happen is Fi will say that there's some weird weird phenomenon happening in Farron, and she can't actually help you land at any other bird statues other than right next to the temple. So I'd recommend you actually go to the behind the temple. The reason for this is because I wanted to point out that these doors are closed, actually. They were closed one of the first times we headed to the sealed grounds. If you didn't talk with Granny and you just went outside, these doors would be closed initially. And now they're closed again for some reason. There's some weird, like, I don't know, force fieldy things next to the door too, if you look off in the distance, so it's kind of weird. Anyways, I just wanted to point that out because it's cool. But anyways, now go ahead and enter the sealed temple, and I'll meet up with you in the next video. See, like right here, everybody always runs back all the way through. You don't have to do that. You can just fall off the ledge here. If you do it just right, you land on the upper ledge and you don't take as much damage anyway. See, like this. Not like that. See? I did it perfect.